I'm Corey from East Coast DIY, and today I'm going to show you how to make 2 floating shelves. I started by measuring the width of the area, and I'm going to be making 2 30-inch shelves. And for this size shelf, I went to Home Depot and picked up 2 2x3s. I also purchased one 1x10 Select Prime board. That's going to be the top. I also bought one 1x4 Select Pine board. You will also need a brad nailer with brad nails as well as 3-inch screws. I cut down the 2x3, which is going to be my main support, to 29 1/4 of an inch. And I marked my stud location directly on that board. That way when I add the additional supports, it doesn't prevent me from attaching it to a stud. So here's what I have so far. I have a 1x10, which is going to be the top of the shelf. And then I also have a 2x3, which is going to be the main support. There's where I marked my stud location. That way when I have the rest of the supports coming out, it doesn't get in way of the studs. Both of those boards are cut to 29 1/4 of an inch. For this size shelf, I'm going to be adding about 4 additional 2x3s. So I'm just double verifying the measurement that these will be, and it's 7 3/4 of an inch. So now that those are cut, I'm just placing them somewhat evenly along that back board. Again, avoiding those X's where I marked where the studs are located on the wall. And again, the reason that I mark where the stud location is on that wall is if I were to put one of these 2x3s there and screw it on, then it would be really hard for me to actually attach it to a stud. And I'm just doing the same exact thing for the second shelf. And to attach the 2x3s together, I'm using 2 3-inch screws in each location. And for this, I'm just using my square to help out. You can also use clamps if you have those. So here's what the main support looks like. You can see that I have the 2x3s coming off of the back support, and then each one is attached with 2 3-inch wood screws. So now it's time to attach that main support to your wall. And because I've already marked the location of the studs on my piece of wood, it should be fairly easy. I'm also using a level just to make sure that everything's perfect. So here's what it looks like now that I have 2 screws into each stud. And if your shelf is any longer, I definitely would recommend finding as many studs as possible. Or if you're able to, attach that 2x3 to the side wall as well. Now that the first shelf support is up, I just want to make sure that everything's fitting in place before I start with the second. I had already cut that 1x10 to 29 1/4 of an inch. Now on the one side that is showing, I'm going to be cutting a 1x4 to finish it off. And because I used a 1x10 on the top, the side piece is going to be 9 1/4 of an inch. And just like the side piece, I'm going to have another 1x4 sitting right in the front. So now if I've measured everything perfectly, it should be my finished width of the shelf, which is 30 inches. And here you can see what it's going to look like. So again, I have a 1x4 for the side and then also a 1x4 for the front. Now I'm just repeating the entire process all over again for the second shelf. And for this, I also like to use my level just to make sure that both shelves line up with each other. And before I stain all my finished pieces, I'm just dry fitting everything to make sure we're good. Again, the top shelf is a 1x10. I have that cut down to 29 1/4 of an inch. The side 1x4, I cut it to 9 1/4 of an inch. And that front 1x4, I cut to 30 inches, which is the finished width of the shelf. I took all of the pieces outside and used my Ryobi orbital sander to make sure that all of the pieces were smooth. Then I just wiped off any of the dust with a microfiber towel. I started out by applying Varathane wood conditioner to all of the boards. I prefer using a wood conditioner before the actual stain just because it gives it that nice, even finish with no blotches. And to apply it, I'm using my melamine sponge. After I let the wood conditioner dry, I'm now going to be applying the stain. And I just cut that bottom piece that I used from the melamine sponge so I can reuse it. And for the stain, I'm using Varathane Golden Oak. Now that all of my pieces are dried, it's time to assemble. I'm just setting both 1x10s on the top of each support. And to attach those, I would recommend using wood glue and a brad nailer. Then you're going to place the 1x4 that's on the side, and if you have the other side that needs to be finished, you can also do that as well. This side here on mine was covered by that wall. If both of your sides need to be finished, you will need to make some adjustments to the measurements that I gave you. And to attach that 1x4 to the side, as well as the front, again, I'm just using wood glue and my brad nailer. step is just to cover the underneath. And to do this, I'm just using a 1/4-inch smooth piece of plywood. And for my size shelf, I cut this down to 29 1/4 by 9 1/4 inch. And once I made sure that they both fit in place, I just took them out and stained them before installing. And here you can see the reason why I used 2x3s rather than 2x4s, because you're going to have this extra little lip there that will allow you to put that 1/4-inch sheet of plywood right on the bottom and it will sit flush. And to attach these bottom panels, I recommend only using your brad nailer, not any wood glue, because if you ever wanted to just remove these shelves, you can just pop those panels off and then unscrew the shelves. Here's what the finished shelves look like. And again, these ones are 30 inches with just the left side being finished. I'll also be completing this area by making a custom desk. These shelves are really sturdy. I've used them in my laundry room as well as my coffee bar. And to make both of these, it costs less than $40. Thanks so much for watching and make sure to subscribe. I also do daily posts on TikTok at East Coast DIY and Instagram at East Coast Florida DIY.